So today's video is going to be on the subject of when you should get your children involved in personal finance. And the simple answer is as soon as possible. As you probably know, as a parent and as an adult, personal finance plays a huge role in everyday life when it deals with managing money, ensuring that you have enough saved up to pay your mortgage, pay your bills. You have to worry about retirement planning, estate planning, life insurance. All of these sort of different aspects of personal finance play a huge role in everyday life. Unfortunately, personal finance isn't something that receives a lot of attention in school right now. It is getting an increasing amount of focus, but it's not where it needs to be yet. So the responsibility sort of falls to parents to ensure that their children are getting a good understanding of personal finance from a very early age. And so what I wanted to focus on with this video is sort of three areas you should definitely sort of focus on to ensure that your children have a good idea of how they work. And the first area has to deal with budgeting. If you already use a budget yourself, and you already see sort of the value it provides in understanding where your money goes and how your purchasing is affecting your everyday life, probably, hopefully, have already incorporated that into your children's everyday lives. If you haven't, I would highly recommend you do that. If you've tried budgeting, or you never have and you don't really see a value in it, understand that a budget for an adult is very different than a budget for a child. And the core reason for that is the way we value money. Adults have a very easy way to rationalize how much money is worth. What does that mean? I'll sort of break it down in an example. Let's say that I'm an accountant that makes $30 an hour, and I live in Canada, winter's coming, and I decide I need to go out and buy a new winter coat. I go out and find a coat that's worth $300. How do I rationalize that purchase? Well, I make $30 an hour. The coat is worth $300. That's worth 10 hours of my time. As adults, most of us work hourly jobs, and so we have a very easy and simple way to rationalize our purchases in the hours that we work. So that coat is worth 10 hours of my time working as an accountant. Is that worth it? If the answer is yes, I buy it. If not, I go find something else. It's a very simple and easy way to go through that. $30 is equivalent to 1 hour of my time. Children don't have that, typically. So at least not until 15, 16, when they might start getting part-time jobs. And an easy way to actually incorporate this into their everyday life is by having a budget. A budget that provides them with a set amount, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. They then have an easy way to rationalize the value of money for them. A purchase for them, if say they have a $30 budget a month, well, 1 month of time is worth $30 for them. It allows them to rationalize purchases the way adults rationalize. By having a consistent amount and giving them responsibility, it ensures that they can actually take on a responsibility and understand what the value of that money is equivalent to. It's incredibly powerful, and it sort of sets them on the right path with being financially responsible. Now, you can structure the budget however you want, whether you tie it into, say, chores or just have a flat amount. And obviously, you can set restrictions on what they can buy, but by empowering your children to make informed sort of financial decisions, or rather making their own financial decisions, it allows them to take on that responsibility and really start to understand and develop a lot of very valuable skills when understanding that if you want to purchase things like a car or something that's expensive, you have to be patient. You have to save up over time and be responsible with that. It teaches them the value of sort of trade-off for temporary sort of gains or long-term benefit of saving up to buy something bigger. It's a very valuable thing to teach your children, and starting at a very early age is a very good idea. Now, if your children are a little bit older, transitioning out of, say, a system where you used to just buy them what they wanted to giving them money and allowing them to choose what they want to buy can be a little bit jarring at first, and it may take a little bit of a transition because everyone's sort of used to the idea of, oh, I want to buy this, I want to buy that. And sort of it requires a lot of consistency on your part. You really have to sort of put it in their court and say, do you have enough money to buy this in your budget? You really have to be consistent with it. And, that is how you're going to make sure that they are successful later on in life when it comes to being responsible with that. Empower them to make their own decisions, be consistent with it, and you'll see huge benefits down the line with how they deal with money themselves. The second area that is a huge aspect that you really should start them thinking about early on is investing. Now, realistically, most kids may not be super excited or interested in investing at first. And using my own self as sort of an anecdotal example, my dad actually started teaching me about personal finance and investing specifically at a fairly early age. And realistically, I didn't care about it that much early on. And it wasn't until I started actually seeing the money grow in value, and I started seeing that I was actually earning money without having to do anything else, that I started to get excited about it and interested in it. And after that, sort of started taking a personal interest, sort of started teaching myself more about it, and sort of ended up where I am today trying to teach other people about personal finance. That's probably going to be a similar case when you start teaching your kids about investing. There may not be sort of a excitement right off the bat, but you just have to be consistent with it. You know, let them in on the decision-making process for their savings, for their educational savings, whatever it might be. Show them what the options are, teach them a little bit about it, check up every 6 months, and just slowly over time build up their knowledge about it. And eventually, hopefully, like in my case, they'll get more excited, more personally interested, and sort of carry that on into their future life. So starting earlier is always better with budgeting and investing. And the third area that is very important is to sort of get your children understanding what the trade-offs and benefits of debt are. Sort of understanding how to deal with debt and how to be responsible with debt. A lot of people sort of misuse it, as you've probably noticed when it comes to, say, going to university. College students taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to fuel their 4-year programs, whatever it might be. It's a lot of money, and a lot of the time it happens because they don't really understand how to use debt properly. It's a tool that, when used well, can be very beneficial, and when used improperly, can ruin your life. And it's very important to understand, to teach your kids about how to use it properly, because there are perfect examples where you do need to use debt. Most people can't afford a home right off the bat. When you're sort of using a mortgage to purchase a $300,000 home, as long as you have a plan to repay it, it's a perfectly rational and reasonable thing to do. Taking out $500,000 to go to med school, not such a good idea. You know, you really have to teach your kids how to be responsible with debt, how to properly manage it, and how to make sure that you have a plan when you're taking out debt about how to repay it. So those are the 3 areas you really should be focusing on when you're teaching your kids about personal finance. Budgeting, get them on a budget, and you'll see huge dividends with the skills that they develop from that in the long term. Investing is incredibly important to start early on. Your kids may not be super excited or interested in it at first, but over time, typically, as the money grows, as they start to make money off of it, likely they'll get a little bit more interested in it at that point, and then dealing with debt is very important so that they make smart financial decisions when it comes to that. You can use the Finances Done Right products themselves. They help you with each of these aspects, whether it's doing a budget for your children, sort of a simplified version of the adult budget, and have that structured simply so they can see how much they have each week and grows over time in that. It also has sections that allow you to sort of teach them about the basics of investing, things like mutual funds, how compound interest works, inflation, all these sort of key aspects of personal investing. And then also has a section talking a little bit about debt and how to use it properly. As always, if you like the video, I appreciate a like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel grow, and have a great day.